What's going on, everybody? This is Paulio Jr. and in this video I wanted to show you guys how to increase the performance of your Windows operating system. And in this video I will be using this is Windows 7 32-bit Home Premium. And with the Windows operating system, obviously 8 has been out now, and 10 is basically almost out as of today. It's coming out very soon. But Windows 7 is still, it became one of the most stable operating systems that Windows created. So it was definitely, Windows 2000 was actually really stable, and then they had Windows Me, which was absolutely horrible, and then they had XP, which was so stable, and I couldn't believe actually how long that lasted and that people still actually use it today. And then it was Windows Vista that was just absolutely horrible unless you had an amazing computer with amazing specs. And then Windows 7 came out and was definitely the stability was very similar to Windows XP, just with so many added benefits and features and capabilities. And then you had Windows 8, which was very similar to, it was kind of like Windows Vista's bastard stepchild. And like I said, I know Windows 10 is coming out very soon and it's probably available for download somewhere. But Windows 7 will still be around for a while, and they still do support updates for Windows 7. So, but the interface as far as Windows 7, in its very basic sense, is very similar when you break it down, even all the way back to Windows 2000 and Windows XP. There are a few different things that they've done with it, but as far as the breakdown and where at the root of it, everything pretty much runs almost exactly the same. So let's get started. And the first thing we want to do before anything is we're going to right click on computer. So start, right click on computer, and we're going to go to system protection, and we're going to create a system restore point on the C drive, which is obviously where Windows is installed. So this is, I'm just going to write before optimization. I'm going to create that system restore point and let that go. Usually it doesn't take too long, and I'm running 32-bit operating system. All of this is still you can use this with the 64-bit operating system as well, regardless if it is Windows Home or Windows Professional or Windows Ultimate, all that good stuff. It's very similar. I know Professional has a couple added features to it, but overall it's pretty much the same. So we've made our system restore point, which is basically as we're making changes, if there's a difference that you don't like, you can go back to the system restore and go back to before you did anything. So system restore point is created, and the first thing I always like to do is I go to computer, and right now I have 3 hard drives installed on my computer. And with the system hard drive, which is where Windows is installed, which is a C drive, right click properties, and typically, well, unless you've already done it, this is checked. The allow files on this drive to have contents indexed in addition to file properties. Now what you want to do is uncheck that. You hit OK. You might get a pop-up that says this can't be done, blah blah blah. You just hit ignore all and let that run while we're continuing to do the other things, because this indexing process is one of the things that takes the longest. So we just sort of just let that go while that's running, and you'll be this screen. Once you're in the indexing, you can't really do anything else in this screen, so we will come back to that. So I'll just leave that up, and we'll just pretend that we're getting rid of the indexing, and all that really does is what indexing is having your files basically available almost a millisecond faster when you're searching for them on the computer, and it's really a service that's not even necessary. It just eats up memory, and that's it. So we set our system restore point, so then we uncheck this, we ignore all when that comes up, and when it's done, this will be unchecked. You hit apply, okay, all that good stuff. So, and then the next thing we want to do is actually delete all of the temporary history, and by doing that, I just hit the home or the Windows key and R at the same. So you hit the Windows key and R at the same time. It comes up like that, and you can type in run, or you can just go like this, type in run, and go like that. Either way, doesn't matter. And you can actually type. What we're going to do is delete all of the temporary files on the computer. So anything that's been any sort of thing that are just sitting in downloads, any temporary internet files, all that good stuff. What you do is you click the top one, you can scroll all the way down and then hold shift and go to the very bottom, and then just hit delete and delete all those guys, and we'll get you some space back as well. So right now, just for me, if I can't do it, that's fine. If there's one thing that I can't delete. So, I just deleted, half a gig right there. I'm going to empty out my recycling bin and do that. It's not going to do anything with your browser or anything like that. It's just anything. It's just temporary internet files, cache and all that stuff that's just been saved on the computer, from browsing and all kinds of different things. And next, what we want to do is go back to run. So, like I said, you can hold the Windows button on the keyboard, hit R, and then type in msconfig. And msconfig will show you the startup services. These are the services that are starting up when your computer starts up. And what I typically do with everything, this shows you everything that's starting up. So what I like to do is I would do hide all Microsoft services and see what's actually running. So I actually had Google Update in the background and so forth, and these are things that were just running in the background while I was doing other things and just eating up memory, which wasn't necessary. And the only thing I really needed to run in the background was my Komodo Internet Security, which is my firewall and so forth, and my antivirus, and then I have my HD Audio Manager. But anyway, let's go back to the Services tab, and as long as you have, we're going to uncheck the hide all Microsoft. So we're just seeing the ones that were installed after Microsoft was installed. As long as you have a really good firewall and internet security, you can actually uncheck the Windows Security Center. You can uncheck if you don't want the update. You can uncheck that as well. I leave it up, and I just have it set as, let me know when there are updates available, but you can also disable that, and it will never check for updates ever. So, and yeah, so even something like this, like the Windows firewall, I know I don't need, because I have, I have Komodo and I trust Komodo. I've been using that for years, and it's free. So, but like I said, the one thing that we do want to check is to see if anything has been installed after Windows was installed on the computer, and to see if it's absolutely necessary to run when the when the computer starts up. If you do have iTunes on it, don't play with any of the iTunes startup. Just leave iTunes alone, because I know I've unchecked even one thing with iTunes before when I had it on the computer, and it basically this is actually one thing that I am going to keep. And you hit apply, you hit OK, and we're going to keep going. So we're going to exit without restart, and when you restart, those programs will not start up. So if you have a lot of icons down here, they will not show up next time. So, and pretty much as we're doing this, you'll probably, or around here, still see that indexing, unindexing running. So that might take a little bit depending on how many files you have on your computer, because it's going through each individual file and taking them out of the index. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Regedit. So we're going to go back to run, the start, the Windows start key and the letter R, and we're going to go to Regedit, and we're going directly into the registry. So the two ones that you mainly use for the registry, and this is again for startup programs, would be HKey local machine, HKey current user. So for the whole machine, I'm going to go to HKey local machine, software, Microsoft, Windows, and then current version, and then it should be run down here. Now this is telling me also what is starting up as the computer starts up. Very similar to msconfig, but there are things that that can show up in the Regedit that are not in the msconfig. So, but right now everything in there is okay. If there's something that you don't need, just click it, delete it, and it doesn't uninstall the program. It just stops it from coming up when the computer starts up. And we're going to do the same thing with HKey current user. So we're going to go to HKey current user, software, Microsoft, Windows, current version, and then run. And it's the same thing. Nothing's even in there, so it's not a big deal. So we're just going to get out of here. If there is anything that you see that's in here that you're saying, hey, I really don't need this to start up when the computer starts up, then just delete it, and you'll save yourself some background memory. And so, and this is actually probably one of the best things, is the going in control panel, going to system security, system. We took the longer route, but that's okay. Advanced system settings, and we're going to go to performance. In the performance, yours might be checked for this. Let Windows choose adjust for best appearance or custom. Now what I always do is adjust for best performance, so everything's not as flashy, but it still will save you memory as well. Now the only one that I actually keep checked off, so I do adjust for best performance, and then I do show thumbnails instead of icons, because if you don't have that checked, when you're looking at something, it won't show you. If you have pictures in a folder, it won't show you the icons of the folder, so I leave that checked. And that's the only thing that I keep checked. You hit apply, you might have a screen that says please wait, and it changes everything on the desktop, and it just changes the appearance of it. The next thing, we're going to go back into the performance, we're going to go to advanced, and we're going to go to change. So I have mine under, it's automatically manage paging file size for all the drivers. So, and what typically you would do is you would pull up your calculator, and you would see how much physical RAM you actually have. So in my case, I actually have, I'm making sure this is still recording. So in my case, I have 4 gigs of RAM, which would come to, each gig of RAM is actually 1024. So we're going to do 1024 times 4 equals, actually comes to 4096 instead of 4000. And we times that by 1.5, and it comes out to 6144. So you can do 6144. I'm using a nice little program here, so when I actually type a number, it pauses the screen recording. So hopefully this is still recording. because that would really be stupid if it wasn't. Yep, we're still going. So 6144, I have to use the top keypad, 6144. And like I said, so even if you had 60, or if you had 6 gigabytes of RAM, for instance, you would do 1024 times 6. That's the number you would come out with, but then you would times that by 1.5, and then that is the number that you would put in. So I have 4 gigs of RAM, so I times it by 1.5, comes to 6144, and I'm going to do set, and you know what? That was actually on my B drive, so I'm actually going to do it on my C drive. Custom size, set, C drive, that's fine. The B drive I don't give a crap about, but the C drive, so I'm leaving the B drive alone, but the C drive is where I'm going to do the 6144. I'm going to hit OK. That's fine. It tells you that you just have to restart the computer. You hit apply, OK, and then we're pretty much done in this side. Like, this is the system protection, where you make the system restore points, where you want to go back, and if you need to go back to restore an old point in the computer. After that, now this is how I'm going to restart later. Hit the Windows key, and all you have to do is type in services and go to services, and in here what we do is we click this where it says startup, and these are all the automatic services that are starting up in the background, whether or not they were installed by Microsoft or whether or not they were installed from a third-party software. So we want to see what's legitimate and what's needed, and mostly everything that is coming from Microsoft I typically will leave on for the most part. And so as you can see, like, all these other services are disabled, or I have them as manual, but like I don't need Malwarebytes scheduler and all that good stuff. I just do that all manually, but everything else I pretty much leave alone. So but if you go down, like I said, don't play with anything with if you have iTunes, don't play with anything Apple related, because if you disable one thing, it's like nothing works on it at all, and that has been my experience with it. So with this, I'm pretty much set. I would just go down a list and see what's automatic, look at the description on the left, and see what's absolutely necessary, and it'll give you the name on the left hand side of what it is and so forth, and then what it does. All this stuff, it seems like a lot, but all this background stuff really is all relatively necessary, so I'm just leaving this alone. I remember with what I've actually done is I disabled the Windows, like the error reporting service I put as manual and things like that, because it's like you send the error reports and nothing ever really comes of it. And I think I also disabled the Windows Security Center and all that good stuff because I have Komodo. And this is another simple one, control panel, and then just go right to uninstall program, and you're going to basically see the programs that you want to use or that you don't need anymore. So that's really up to you. Just go through and see what's necessary for you. If you're not using a program, uninstall it and get rid of it. And this is another one that people usually turn away from, that don't usually see, is the turn Windows features on and off. And so this is, I know I definitely uncheck games. If indexing service is checked, uncheck that. And I don't use Internet Explorer, so I just uncheck that. And mostly what's inside of everything else here. These are also, if you check them, it'll turn that feature on. So there are things in here where you can use, if you wanted to set up your computer as an FTP server and stuff like that, you would check certain different things. So, but yeah. Other than that, it's really just what I did was uncheck the games, uncheck the indexing service. I unchecked Internet Explorer 8 just because I don't use Internet Explorer 8. And if there's anything else in there that you really feel like you don't need, you can uncheck it, hit OK, let it process, and go through, and you're all good. And we're gonna close that out. And the other thing, even though you do have files that the files really are just sitting there until you use them, typically, it's still nice to clean out, things in your computer that are a little bit older. And you can actually, what I just did was click on the Windows Explorer folder right here, and then you do the search libraries, and you look for this search filter right here, and there was an option, and type, nope, there's an option here, I know there is, where you can basically search up the size of the file that you're looking for. And it used to, I know it's something simple and something that I'm just overlooking here, but anyway, so what we're gonna do is just go by we'll just go by type, and we'll look up a file that would typically be rather large, which would either be like a .avi or something like that. So I'll do a .avi, see if anything comes up. No. And we'll look up, so even MP3s that come up in file size that maybe are a little bit too big or so forth, you can go through and delete them. But I know that there's definitely a way to look up the actual size. Let me see if I can type in size. No? Okay, here we go. That's it. So in here you would type in size, and then you would hit colon, and then let's do gigantic, which is greater than 128 megabytes. And so in here I have a couple things that are over, well past 128 megabytes. So this is half a gig right here, and this was just something that I used to listen to when I used to go to sleep, and I don't need that file anymore, so I'm actually just gonna delete it because I don't need it. And yeah, so but you can do that whether it's for videos or whatnot, video files, images, all that good stuff. So like I said, type in size. I'm gonna empty that. I'm gonna get half a gig back, even though I have a terabyte on my C drive. And like the other, definitely a big portion of increasing the performance of your operating system is adding actual physical RAM. And what you want to do is actually, you can use a program like PC Wizard, or you can just open up the computer and pull out the actual physical RAM and see, and do a quick Google search on it, see how many pins it is. And if it's 32-bit, you can only max out at 4. So if you're at 4, you're fine, leave it at 4. If you do have a 64-bit operating system, make sure that you can. Having a 64-bit, you are unlimited to what the motherboard can handle. So there are machines that will max out at 8 gigs of RAM, but there's machines that won't max out until you name it, to the freaking high heavens. And this is just another suggestion as far as in general is using Komodo Internet Security, and that is a completely free internet security software and firewall and antivirus, and it can run as a widget if you really want it to. So I'm just going to show the widget, and it'll let you know when you need updates and all that good stuff, and when to scan, and it does not eat it does not. I don't leave it up. I just have it sitting down here. It does not eat up a lot of backgrounds memory as well. And then the other one is obviously Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes has definitely gotten popular over the years, and is still, I believe, to be the best anti-malware software out there. They update it. It seems as though they update it every other day, and this is free, and the Komodo is free, and they both work fantastic. I know Komodo catches everything. I have not had a virus come through on this computer, since installing Windows 7 back on this computer. And even when I've had Komodo for years. I had it on XP, and I had rarely issues with Komodo as far as viruses and so forth. And if I did, it was because it was on my behalf of letting something come in, but Komodo would always check it. So, and really that's really all that I have. The only other thing, if you really want to keep this layout, the appearance, again, as simple as possible, go back to the control panel. And a lot of times in Windows 7 you have that little action bar down, the action center icon down there, and I believe you go to appearance and personalization, it says taskbar and start menu, and you would customize icons on the taskbar, and actually go to turn system icons on or off. So right now you can turn off any of this stuff over here if you don't want it showing. And even though all the computers, even in the last 5 to 7 years, are relatively quick and efficient, depending, as long as you don't have Vista on it, run really well, even with certain things running. But I have the Action Center off, just because it was an annoyance. So if you don't want your network to show, if you don't want the volume to be on there, if you don't want even if you don't want the clock to be on there, but all the other stuff I feel is pretty necessary. So, but the Action Center I do not feel is necessary, so that's just okay. You can also go through here and hide other other icons and notifications. You can say what to do, only show notifications, or hide icon and notifications, and all that good stuff. So, but other than that, I really feel like those are the very simple ways. There's one other thing. So maybe at this point the indexing service that we did at the beginning would probably be done, and from there we would go to computer. These are just things that are now coming up. We go back to the C drive, and hopefully this will all be done for you. You can get back in here, and I would still do a defrag. Defrag has been around for a long time, and basically it just consolidates these files that are separated and almost makes them whole, so there's not a lot of jumps in the hard drive, and it makes everything a lot more consistent. So you can just go straight into defragment the disk, and I don't know why I've never ran it. I have recently installed the C drive Windows 7 on this because I got a new hard drive, so I just started from scratch. So I'm just going to run mine now and let it go while I'm talking. You can do the error reporting. When you do that, basically what it's going to do is, we'll see what it does right now. This is typically what happens. When you do that, it'll ask you, do you want to check for hard disk errors the next time you start your computer? Yes. And that's very similar to doing the old school way, which is going to the command prompt and going to check disk /r, which means /repair. And then it basically, what this is saying, the exact same thing that the error reporting thing said, was, do you want to do it on your next startup? So just ignore this. I was just going old school for a second. So, but back to my computer, back to C drive, properties, and back to tools. You do check now, and you can actually check both of them, do the same thing. Do the scheduled disk check. When you do restart the computer, it's going to come up and ask you and say, it's going to perform a check disk, and the check disk really fixes a lot of unknown errors or even known errors that can't be fixed through a scan or anything like that. Check disk is probably one of the best things that Windows created to repair any inconsistencies within the Windows operating system. And really, that's it. I mean, as far as hardware wise, you definitely want to have a really good processor and the maximum amount of memory that your motherboard can handle. And having a hard drive with a higher RPM on it and all that good stuff definitely helps. And then having the system memory also helps, and then having a good processor. All those three really work well. All those three working together is what really makes the hardware very efficient and works very well. So if there are other things that can increase the performance of your computer, they're really going to be small odds and ends and things like that. But as far as everything else, if it takes a little bit longer, just let everything run, and then just go back and see the things that I suggested and go through that. And like I said, if something maybe when you restart or whatnot and you see something might be a little bit off, you can just revert to, we made the system restore point at the beginning. You can just revert back to that system restore point that you created. Again, just right click on computer, go to properties, go to system protection, and then you would just go to system restore, and we would go to next. And then this is the one that we created when I first started the video, so before optimization. And I would just hit next, let that run through, and that would basically undo all the changes that we just did in this video. So I hope this video was helpful. It's a very simple, very simplistic way of increasing the performance of the operating system. Windows 7 by itself is really good, but over time you can install a lot of crap and have a lot of stuff build up if you're not doing anything. So, and then definitely have Komodo, internet security, and Malwarebytes. I use Komodo's always running live. You can have Malwarebytes run live, but I just use it just for a scan. I do the scan, maybe like once a week or something like that. And then they suggest that you do a defrag. I think they suggest you do it once a week, but I would say once a month is actually pretty good. Those are the scheduled things that you can set yourself to do, and you can do the same thing with Komodo, with Malwarebytes, with the disk defragmenter, and all that good stuff. So hope this video was helpful, and if there's anything that you guys are looking for as far as either software or how to do this or do that, computer related, then definitely leave a comment or send me a message and let me know. So, and other than that, that's all I can really come up with right now. That's what I've really just done over the last couple of years and recently, as far as increasing the speed of my computer, and it'll definitely show. And like I said, worst comes to worst, if you see any changes that have impacted the operating system in a negative way, then just revert back with the system restore point. But thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment, like the video if you do like it, and if not, you can go to hell. Just kidding. But thanks for watching, and